back. Welcome back.
Chill.
We are back with another episode of the Be Well Bro podcast. And like always, to my left, we have...
What's up? It's your brother Jason ESTARR Star.
Oh wow, that's new.
Is it? I gotta switch it up on
and to my right, we have the one and the only.
All right, we go. The BARR with the Y, aka Coach Coop.
And you wouldn't be complete without having your boy here, Sixx in the building. So today's episode is
interesting.
Yeah, I have put some thought into it. Today's episode is called Faith versus Flex. And it's the ever-existing battle between God, grind, and guidance.
Ooh.
Yeah. Okay. And this episode, we're going to be tackling spiritual wellness. And when I thought about this, I remember this, one of my favorite Def Poetry clips by Talib Kweli. And he's like, every second waking up, seeing gospel at its worst, couldn't see the difference between the black or the white or the Christian church. And for all God's children, what's the name of the, what is the voice of the Reverend Worth?
Oh, you're jumping right in.
You know, and I might have butchered that, so we can we might have to clip that in.
We got the last part.
Yeah. But when I think about, faith and, coming off of, what this month meant and what we've been experiencing, it kind of got me asking this question, of like, how are we operating within faith? And how are the external elements that challenge that? How does that work within the faith of us as people and us as men navigating this world, right? And so I kind of just wanted to open that first thing up is like, when did we start to figure out our faith, period? Not in the, traditional sense, but maybe you want to, drop that. But like, when did you start to figure out your own faith and not something that you just inherited? When did you go on your own journey?
Well, I'll start just to take a half a step back and say, I think it's important when you have these kinds of conversations to just make sure you clarify what you're not doing.
Yeah.
Right. And religion, faith, spirituality, these are things that are deeply related to like a core sense of identity. And so while we're talking about spiritual wellness, obviously we are anchoring our conversations in the dimensions of wellness. And, at least I'm going to speak as the expert in my own life. Religion is a part of a bigger piece of what I consider to be my spiritual wellness. That also just like helps me endeavor in the question of like, what does this all mean? Like the deeper whys, and why am I here in it in this moment in time? So I just wanted to like set the table for that because I think there's a lot
to add to that. Like we're not trying to identify like what religion or who is not doing what, and what is not being done. It's just about just like you said, Jay, like about your personal journey.
But it may come up.
Yeah, it might. Because it is shepherding, so.
But yeah, Mary, what about your
So that was your journey. That was your journey.
No.
That was your
Don't
journey,
come back
bro.
to me on that one.
Well, no, and they're perfect because I do it like this.
You got us nervous.
No, and this is not a religious. It's not a religious debate.
Comment for you.
It's not a religious debate. I'll be first to say that it's not a religious debate. But like you said, Jason, so eloquently, this is an internal an evaluation of the self, and like how do we move if we move with spirit and with energy.
Well, I can talk about the confrontation.
Yeah.
I can talk about the confrontation because I think, your question was like, when did you, it wasn't framed like this, but sort of that awakening. Or
when did you figure out?
So I grew up in a very, very, very Christian, conservative, Southern environment. I would say household, but it was culture, environment, it's everywhere. And like the church was very much the central social, political institution in the community. It, like, for me, provided accessibility to doing a whole bunch of stuff, right? That's where the Boy Scout troop was. That's where I got on the van and went as far as I could go from they take you to the HBCUs, right? So it's like, it was central in that way. But as a queer person, like the almost like singular focus on sexual morality, and particularly like if you're gay, you're going to hell, like was just like as central as like me singing in the choir or, you know, being the president of the youth department or whatever. So for me, that like tension, particularly when high school and then when I went away to college, was like a thing that was like, this is not something that it can coincide. But I needed spirituality. I needed a relationship with God, in which, you know, that was a piece of what I took, you know, that like was personal. So I would say, like, for me personally, it was that period of time in life where I was like, okay, this has to be reconciled. My identity as a spiritual being, as a child of God, and my identity as a queer person have to exist in the same place, because I exist in one body, one spirit. And then that led me to my own spiritual journey and my own like religious journey too.
That's powerful.
What about you, Coop?
So I'm trying to think about the spiritual journey, right? And like thinking about this word faith, where when I hear faith, I'm thinking trust. So like I'm putting my trust in something that I've never seen. It happened for me in my early 20s. Well, I would say like, I mean, in my early 20s, where I made the decision. It was like right after Chase was born, and me and her mom broke up. And I was probably at the darkest point of my life, because everything that I wasn't, or everything that I know I could have been, was like illuminating in my face. And I didn't have answers on how to get to where I knew I needed to go. So, you know, it kind of like, I was probably the most depressed I've ever been in that moment. And I don't know, I went to church. Like, it was just like, I needed to hear something, because what the world was telling me at that time was going to have me on the brink of probably doing something to myself or doing something to somebody else that I knew would have compromised my whole being as a human. So, so as I started to navigate church and hearing scriptures and identifying with the prophets or the philosophers in the Bible, it started to give me tools and context that helped me on my journey back to my consciousness and to myself. And once I developed that tool, I make sure that it's a line. I keep that with me all the time, because in my darkest moment, it wasn't nothing that nobody on this earth could have told me. And it had to take a spiritual being in order to give me the love and the nurturing that I needed. So I don't forsake that, or I try not to forsake it anymore in my life. So that it was around like my early 20s, like 21, 22. Chase was born when I was like 23. So around that time is when I really locked in.
Yeah. And I'll throw this out there for me. I think being rooted in culture, in the actual indigenous traditional sense, for us being Haitian, and just, you know, and if you're from the Caribbean, you know your practitioners, you know your Santa Maria ladies, you know, you got your altars, you got your, you know, we have our own set of our own belief system, and then watching that be like kind of ridiculed and made fun of, and, you know, Haitian people in the diaspora being called devil worshippers because we kept our West African voodoo religion, our own faith, and like having altars and praying to the ancestors and having that like cemented in our identity, and then growing up in a very southern space too, and watching people like kind of shun that and make fun of that and try to distance themselves from a thing that made us strong and got us our freedom. I kind of always looked at it with like a side eye. And, you know, all praises to my mother and my family who were just like, no, be proud of the ancestors that we come from. Be proud of the tradition. Like, they don't have to understand it, but you understand it. And so like, that was always the constant like mental battle happening. I think for me, I was in a dark place too. and I had broke my leg. I was on the verge of losing my scholarship. And I think I wrote about this in one of our pieces on the blog. Check out the Be Well Bro.
Plug.
.org website called Softly Falling when I'm writing about depression. And I'm in a strip club, sitting down, like in the darkest moments of myself, numbed out. And I think that moment they say God finds you and you'll look at your lowest. I'm sitting in this spot and a dancer came up to me and she was like, you don't look well. You are sitting here and you're giving off a vibe. I think you might need some therapy or you might need something, but it is not here. And that's what got me to actually re-engage with my faith.
Did you tip her?
Somebody get her.
Sir.
She was tipped. But this is true. I will honestly say I re-engaged with God in a strip club.
Well, no, I mean, the setting, I think it's kind of, for me, like, what I take from that story, one of the big things I take from that story is like that God, goddess, spirit, power, meets you or has a capacity to meet you, anywhere and in any state. But there is something about the congruence among the three stories was just about openness and a desire to understand oneself better or more or more completely. So there was a hunger where it's like, something incongruent here. Something's not, it
wasn't right.
And I need to be open to like some shift. I need to be open to some lesson, some sign or signal or something. No matter where I am. And I wanted to say that because I just know a lot of people have a lot of trouble with organized religion and the church. And I know a lot of us, particularly, Black folks, we just kind of grow up with that being like equated with one's spirituality. Like, well, what's important? Like taking care, exercising regularly, eating well, like being responsible with your money and having a good relationship with God. Like these things that are, okay, these are the checklists. And then that last one, at least, it's like a lot of fear of judgment or actual judgment. Almost like it's a club for people who
got it all together.
Yeah. And so I think one of for me, and also just stories and conversations I've had with other brothers of mine over time, is that like openness to receive that blessing, that guidance, that direction, that touch anywhere you may be, right? Like that you are deserving of that there is a message out here. Like if you open yourself up and ask and seek, that like
it will come
to pass.
And I want to ask a question just off of that. And if you don't got anything, Coop, I want to ask one more question. So what does your practice actually look like day to day, if any? Like now that you've went through this mission to kind of like re-engage and find your own relationship with it. What is your...
I think my practice is always spiritually and mentally checking in, prayer, praying, and whenever I'm in question, but no matter what it is, if there's like doubt that starts to seep in, I always say like, yo, you're in his favor, really. So having this understanding that I do have a relationship and a connection. So like not allowing fear and doubt to overwhelm me. Not that it doesn't exist, but I don't let it put me in the position of like, it doesn't debilitate me. And I just gotta like walk with knowing that I'm his son. And I literally train myself to say like, yo, that's my father. So, and he got everything. So if that's my father and I know that I'm doing my best, then I can ask for something. I at least can get this. And I think that's like foremost in my mind. But as of late with like August, really trying to be a representation of like what it means to be a son that listens to his father from a faith standpoint, so that way he could develop the skill sets a lot earlier than I may have. I mean, my mom was like more Jehovah's Witness, her side of the family, and my dad, well, they were Christian, so I didn't really have a full balance. But now I try to give balance to my children and allow them to see that like faith is something that you need to operate through and in, so that way you can kind of like simmer some of the emotional things that may come up.
That's beautiful. What about you, Jay?
Well, I naturally live most of my life right here. So my, work often is to move my life like from head space down to heart space and through the rest of my body. So I meditate every morning before I even like get out of bed. And that's just kind of like, all right, what are we letting like stay on the surface today?
Yeah.
Only like 2 or 3 things can be up here.
Yeah.
The rest of y'all got transcend down there, So that helps me kind of like orient towards like, because I'm not gonna fool myself to think like, it's they're not gonna pop up. But if I can say like, okay, these are the 3 I'm gonna allow to come in, then I feel like I start steady. One thing that I started to realize about my childhood and growing up, that we didn't have language for it in, but that was a big part of what we were doing. And they would have never called it this because they would have been like, that's some witchcraft shit.
Yeah.
But it was ancestor worship.
Mm-hmm.
Like we would, there was just a way in which we kind of like brought the day in with grandma or papa or whomever like that. It wasn't sitting in front of a thing and like looking at pictures, which is fine, right? Because I can do a little bit of that too. But like, it was just this everyday thing of kind of like making sure that you invited them into like your day. And I just do that kind of very intentionally in the morning too. And I think the other thing that is that, I'm an earthling. And
what do you mean by that, earthling?
so like growing up, we went out every day. Every day went outside. But I mean, like to me, I think about myself as a part of like just a part of the earth, right? Like just part of the whole, creation. And I mean, that's why I got like bees and flowers and stuff on my butterflies on my. So like, it's like, it's hard because I work from home a lot, whatever. But like, when I mean like actually touching grass, like going outside and like touching on something natural, like a blade of grass, the snow, something like that, that like just reminds me that like, I'm not way out here like free radicaling in the universe. I'm actually a part of
you operate
this
within
thing.
the system.
And like if it's like today it was like Zoom on Zoom on Zoom on Zoom on Zoom. I just looked down and like touched my arm because I got nature like on me, on my body. Yeah. So those are some of the like daily spiritual practices.
That's what's up.
Yeah, that's dope. That's a dope way to stay connected and grounded. That's spot on.
And that's great. And I think I'll borrow that and kind of I mix my practices. I have an altar in my room that the sun hits it, I get up and I kind of like, just kind of, meditate for a second. But in my practice to like find myself and like kind of like touch a lot of different modalities of connecting to God. There was one time that I was a proud member of the nation.
You was a who?
Proud member of the Nation of Islam. And so a lot of those practices kind of still stay with me too. So I'm prone to get up early in the morning and pray, and submit myself and kind of and go through that, and not in any other way, but just to kind of like understand that I am serving a higher purpose outside of myself. And then nature is always a big thing. I walk my dog. That is my practice, is to be annoyed, move, walk this dog, but interact with humans and like catch the day in its most innocent and kind of just move through that energy.
I want to like piggyback. That's something I got to get back to. I think that it's so funny because it's like the more I pour into the organization and the work, I've and it's for a lack of a better term, but it's my truth. I feel like I'm not connected to the earth and I'm deteriorating from it, like physically.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until like the other day, Shantini was like, yo, we're going to the spa. You're not going in. And I'm like, what? My heart was like, boom, 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 boom. I was like, I gotta cancel these meetings with me. And she was like, yeah, like, let's go get in the pool. You know? And fellas, I'll tell you, when I got in that pool, a sense of just calm. It was just a simple thing, just getting in a warm ass pool. Mm-hmm. It literally, I just felt the weight of the world off my shoulders. And then we kind of like went into all of the elements. And we went into one of the hot rooms and they kind of like did like a heat ceremony in there where they like hit you with the rag and it's like steam. And it was like almost orgasmic in my body. Like it was like a sense of like I couldn't even control it because I haven't been one with the earth. You know, like I haven't been in the park as much as I should be. So when I left there Monday, tomorrow actually, I'm going to wake up in the morning. I'm going to go walk. I'm going to walk over to Saratoga Park. I haven't done that in a long time. My leg be hurting. And I think it's because I'm not utilizing, like I'm always sitting down on Zoom, like you mentioned earlier. So yeah, I definitely can connect with that. And I feel like I'm disconnected from the earth. And that's a part of my faith that I need to like reconnect with. Yeah.
I'm happy you brought that up. And Jason, thank you for bringing that up too. Cause I think what I do, any chance I get, like, you know, it's about to be hot outside. So like going to the beach and like letting that wave hit me, that's a big thing that I do. Any chance I get and I get around some water.
Yo, they got riptides though.
You ain't got to go that deep. I recommend you go. I recommend people listening and watching, go learn how to swim, black people, please.
Yeah. Please.
God, the water is good for you.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, and honestly, I mean, like, if we can't get to the beach and you got a bathtub, take a bath. I think it's crazy, but like, you know, you sort of, you make a good point just around, you know, we have to work with what we got, you know, and sometimes some of this wellness stuff and, you know, especially the commercialization of all of it. You know, I think on the spiritual side, it's a lot of, you know, pay $599 and come for a weekend and like then you're gonna be healed. You know, like sort of that kind of, you know, and I can understand how like you can sort of start to see like, okay, that's just another thing or whatever that is drawing me into something else I gotta pay for, you know, whatever. And it's like, no, actually that's why I kind of go back to that curiosity piece of it and, you know, finding that curiosity or that openness in places of like brokenness or whatever. And it actually was reminding me of a conversation we had about the work we do at the Bro Experience. And, you know, a lot of the early conversations and we were like, yo, the problem is like, why do our young men have to wait until they get institutionalized to get, and it's kind of like, why do we have to wait until we are broken? And the Lord meets you at your lowest place. But like, you know, we can also talk about ways in which like, you know, if you can just understand and identify yourself a little bit better. It's like, oh man, that hurt a little bit. It would have felt good to like take that bath. It's like, oh damn, just learn something about myself. It doesn't have to be like, it should be iterative. And it's like starts with you just saying like, hey, I want to get to a greater degree of like peace within myself, a greater degree of integration. And then you can just start to ask yourself like, how, right?
No, absolutely. I spot on. And I think sometimes, not on the flip side, but you know, it take the struggle for you to actually appreciate the faith as you were connected and reconnected with it, right? Like, because if you only know it from the time you were born, like, oh, I gotta have faith, you don't even appreciate it.
It ain't been tested.
It ain't been tested. You know, it's not that pool didn't feel good, so I knew that my leg was hurting and I need some relief, right? Like, so I had something holding me, right? Like, so. Sometimes, you know, to the point of like the flex versus the fake, like sometimes you got to operate in that flex and lose a couple things for you to, and it's unfortunate that we can't just stay disciplined, but you know, there's a place for that, you know, and knock you backwards.
But that's what but that's what having a strong spiritual core foundation does, right? I mean, in part, right, which is what we do know to be certain is that you're going to be up, then you're going to be down, then you're going to be up again. You know what I'm saying? And like, the way in which we understand that like the moment is not everything.
Yeah.
And it's like, it just, again, like it's taking me back so much to the work that we do here, but how do you build that resiliency? How do you build that oneness, that rootedness, so that like,
so when it happens, it's not chaotic. Right?
Exactly. And I can trust the
process.
You know, and it's like, I don't have that fear of putting myself in uncomfortable situations or trying something that I may not be quite ready for, but I'm ready for my support system to help me into, like, all of those things that push us into more life, right? You know, come a lot easier, or at least like we are more prepared for when we have that.
I will second, third it, and take it all the way to the sixth it. I would like stamp that, because it wasn't until I found myself broken and was depleted, and this is in my adult life. This is after I had that awakening, and it found me again, and I really actually moved with it. I moved with that spiritual wellness that I actually had tapped into, that had got me past my darkest point, and got lost in the sauce of grinding and work and all that, and it was broken one more time. And then I had to actually nurture that. And when I started nurturing that energy, actually moving with it, giving it back to people, moving with that grace, moving with that big love. Big love found me, big safety found me, big family found me. I found myself here. But I had to go to the mountaintop one more time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's like, it's a muscle that has to continuously be exercised and, like you said, be disciplined in. And I had to agree with that, like what both of you were saying, because it keeps on finding you. And I think that's one of those lessons that if we don't tap into it, it's like a muscle. If we don't operate with it, if we don't move with it, if we don't exercise your spirit, then it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, 100% both what both of y'all was saying, and you got to use it almost like your faith is your compass, right? So if you are aware that you are in the wilderness and you are in the woods, but you're not looking at the compass as you take every step. You only look for it, or you're looking for it when you get to a place of uncertainty, right? And if you got the muscle to know that you're connected to something that's going to guide you, then you don't got to flex it, act like you know which way you're going. And you're like, bear right. And now you got everybody walking around in circles, right? Like, that's what my pops used to do when we would go to Florida. It's a straight run, bro. I-95. How we got lost, right? Because you're not listening to the compass, brother. With the map. Like, God gives you a map all the time. Now here's the thing about the beauty about faith is that you could detour like a bug. It's just going to take you longer to get to the devil. He going to make sure you get there.
Yeah, that's right.
Whether you believe it or you don't, but it's like, bro, you ain't have to go around the mountain. You could act, and stay connected to because in our flexes, we're gonna flex, right? Like we're gonna get crazy, we're gonna make mistakes, we're going to feel like we did it at certain points. That's just being a human. But it's just like when you do start to flex, you better hope that you can go back to that compass. Because if you can't, then and the word broken keeps coming up. Like I want to, if I can, I don't know if you were broken, maybe stretched, right? Because I don't know. And I don't want to, put, or dampen on your journey. But it's just sometimes I think that we utilize that word. And I don't think your father broke you. I don't think he allowed you to be broken. He may have stretched you in ways that were uncomfortable, but to be broken, I don't know. Yeah, and I mean, just it's no, we don't have to debate about it. It's just something that I offer people. Like even when people say like, "Yo, I sacrifice," like only one person sacrifice, right? You know what I'm saying? Like you may have done things that you may have not wanted to, but you didn't like sacrifice them to give it everything away. I don't think we do that as humans. We like to think we do, but that's a whole other conversation.
I was like, yeah.
If you want to hear this and more conversations, we're getting ready to drop a Discord. You can join our Discord.
We all got to go there. That's a whole other conversation.
Patreon expert, so I just want to make sure.
Patreon is getting ready to go up. So
if y'all got anything to say in the comments, his name is Barry Cooper, COOVE.
Being broken, bro. Like I don't.
Yeah.
But this question of not the question, the statement, broken, broke, flex. There's a theme that I was working towards on this episode. There's a theme I was working towards.
Always.
Because of where we're at. And what sparked this moment for me was that, and you said it earlier, like we tie a lot of what can you pay for to be well. Spiritual wellness comes with a price. Sometimes. Come to this thing, come to this thing, come to that. And they're charging you to participate in this act of trying to become better. And then I'm like, when did hustle culture and like, prosperity and like, when did economics and I know.
The man's last name is Dollar. His last name is Dollar. I mean, come on.
But it bothers me. It bothers me so much when I just I see it happening, and so I just wanted to unpack that, because we see it, and I know we all are aware of it, this hustle culture, this hustle spirituality culture is wild to me, and so I'm trying to figure out and the conversations that I always said is, you have to, they're still pushing this grind, hustle, work, but to God. Put your burdens on the Lord. If you work hard enough, the Lord shall provide.
Now I'm just trying to how I'm gonna fit all this in. How I'm gonna fit all this in. Because that's a lot. I mean, that's a big conversation. I would approach it. My first reaction was honestly I don't think good spiritual wellness is a destination.
Yeah.
And one of the things that when I was thinking about this episode in my own spirituality, a word that kept coming up was certainty. And how, if you think about the term faith, right? It's almost to me the corollary is uncertainty, right? But what I think I see a lot or experience a lot is, especially in organized religion, again, speaking from my own experience, I'm the expert of my experience, there was a lot of certainty messaging, right? And so for me, I was but why you though? Why am I supposed to trust you? It's you can't even read that good. I got to be in 10th, 11th grade. I'm wait a minute, I can interpret it better, So it was the scene where a lot of what I feel is, and what I've been talking about and referring to in terms of spiritual practice has a lot to do with me as an individual, not necessarily as part of any other kind of faith community. Again, to me, that's a part of it. It can be definitely, I know it's a central piece of it for a lot of people because religion is so important in our society. But my encouragement is to really take a broader view of one's own spirituality and having some degree of agency over where am I, who am I with, and how is this relevant in my life today?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I want to go further and just let me land this plane real quick. Because I know I'm still up, but let me land it. And so for me, I'm asking this in the grand scheme of just how this work culture, hustle culture with spirituality is. For me, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, is there a tension for men or for people when it comes to this idea of ambition and stillness, and are we allowed to not feel guilty for resting? Because the culture is saying that you have to always move. And even in this practice, even in the act of being spiritually okay, it demands more from you.
To me, that's not an honest spirituality.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah,
that may be spiritual capitalism, but because there's no real spirituality that does not contemplate rest.
And I think going back to the original framing is faith over or versus flex.
Mm-hmm.
So those are two different things. So the hustle culture is a part of the flex.
Yeah.
Right. So if we are on understanding that there's a hustle culture, and now here's the thing: some people hustle religion, right? Like that's the thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's not all men, that's not all preachers or pastors, but everything has a market,
Mm-hmm.
right? And everything can be systematically turned into a business, but faith is not connected to just a religion. It is a religious way of being or a spiritual way of being,
Mm-hmm.
and that is tapped into your character.
Oof.
So I think I'm trying to answer this, but I think they kind of like not connected. Like they like we need the faith. We need the compass. You have to understand the compass. You have to have a sense of morality as a man, as a human, as you are navigating the culture. And when you're and that, because if you don't have the compass, then you're walking in the wilderness and you're blind, and anything could come out and knock you out, take you out, do whatever, influence you, so on and so forth. So to have this understanding that I have to have faith, because what I am experiencing on earth is way bigger than what I can comprehend, and I have to survive in it. I need to be able to know that there's something, someone, some voice, some spiritual connection that could keep me from this.
But here, I agree with you. I think if we're looking at maybe a problem or issue, is the question of like, well, then what is that faith though?
What is that faith?
The way that
Yes.
I kind of understood the episode title is that the risk of the faith becoming just another flex, which is to say, right? Like, and this is why I go back to like so many of us in the organized religion that we grew up in and learned and tied to our spiritual practice and like health and wellness, can sometimes feel like, go to church on Sundays, don't have premarital sex or sex outside of marriage, this sort of list of rules to adhere to, right? Maybe customs and cultural norms associated therewith, like put a shirt and tie on when you go to church, like so and so and so forth. So you do all of these things, right? But you're still spiritually unfulfilled.
Yeah.
Like that to me is like, so you're flexing the faith piece of it, right? Like you're actually saying like, I am aware of this, right? I'm doing A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, yet like there's a piece of me, there's a spiritual piece of me that is unwell because that is not working. And to me, like I was like, oh, then what are we offering as it relates to how you both like gain a deeper understanding of your spirituality and your spiritual needs, and then figure out ways to address
I think my only I guess, because I agree with you as far as like the behavior, but I don't know if they're flexing the faith versus flexing the religion, right? Like flexing
I kind of think we're saying the same things where they become one and the same.
They conflate themselves.
Because you could go and you could play and it's funny because Pastor, a couple of weeks ago, Pastor kind of like talked about this in one of the scriptures. But you could go to church every single day and not be faith, like not have faith,
right?
Like not, but like you could be faithful in the act of doing the things.
Can be obedient.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Can be obedient.
You could be disciplined and obedient, and not faithful.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
That's it.
But think about the converse of that, right? Because we know your pastor, like we know what he's about, what type of time he on, right? But again, I keep going back to this, like when we start to like not see spirituality outside of that, and for so many people, like that's it. I go to church, I do this, and whatever. That's where it's it. That's the beginning, middle, and the end. It's like, well, what if pastor was David Koresh and this was Waco, right? And we was obedient, right? And the reason, and I mean, I don't want to make light out of like serious situations like that, but like, I think then why does one have the spiritual wellness that we are talking about and referring to? It's so like your spirit can be like beep, 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 like something's wrong here, right? And the same way, like your spirit is like gonna make them alarm bells go off if you're sitting in like a cult situation. For the for our viewers and for the men out there, like it's the same thing in terms of your spirituality going off. It's so many other situations that you find yourself in where it's like, oh, wait a minute, this ain't right. Yeah.
But to your point, your faith, because you can't control that. Like it will give you the signal. So now the choice of, am I going to be obedient to the flesh? Right, like so even when you like
you got it,
you think about like people in the Bible who castrated others for the sake of going against Jesus Christ, right? Like at some point, it was a voice that came to them and was like, "You sure you want to continue to do this?" Right, like you sure you want to walk in another way? Like there is scripture upon scripture that will come to, and I think that is where we lose sight of our consciousness. And our consciousness again is the connection to the moral compass that allows us to walk in trust, because that's all it is. It's like believing that I don't have it right now, so I don't need to go outside and do something strange for a little change to get that. Like I just don't have it, and I can wait, because I know that I'm connected to something that is not going to let me become broken. Right? Now what happens is that if I decide not to wait and I make the choice on my own, I can now become broken. Right? Because I ain't walking under the compass. I might be lost. I might be in the woods, but I'm not broken yet. And I think that is where the different, you can be obedient to the what's happening out here, because a lot of us are, and we still struggle with that. But that faith is some powerful shit.
Well, and I do. I'm gonna one last build on that, which is, and it's not just that I'm not that, but it's actually what I am. That's switch right there. Because then you talk, you get the example of, okay, I don't got it right now, but I got that like faith, I got that spiritual wellness. So I don't, I know that like I don't got it, but I'm gotten, But it's like then the next phase of that is like, but I actually got belief that I not only can get it, but that I deserve to get it. And then you're just moving differently now, right? Right now you're not like thinking, I'm not this, I'm not broken, I'm not this thing, and it makes me think a lot about the message, because like everything you talk about when you work with young people, right? Like you gotta think, and like with the young men, it's like, do we say like, you are not the things that the media demonstrate that young black men are. You're not the things that like the messages and the images that you see for one another. Well, that's an important message. Yeah. And the other important message is also to be like, you are whatever you are.
Facts,
right?
Facts.
Yeah.
Facts. Yeah. I love that. You got it. I don't got it, but I got it.
But I'm got it.
I got it. That's powerful.
TM, trademark, Jason is
trademark that. That's the word. That's the phrase of the day. I ain't got it, but I'm got it. Right? Yeah. Like that's powerful. That's powerful.
And that takes me, and that builds up a lot of like, I'm a hater. I'm just not going front. I'm a hater. I sit here and I be frowning when I look at these commercials and I'll be like, man, that shit whack. I am. I sit in that role only because like I have an intimate relationship with the spirit for myself and how it moves me. And I've been so lucky to go on pilgrimage, and I've been to India, and I've seen how the Hindus pray and worship. I've seen so many different ways of acts of connecting. And then I've seen a very pervasive way that, our community is sometimes like subjugated to like to believe in. And I never felt connected to it. And I was just like, yo, when I get an opportunity to talk about how we flex this faith and not actually operate in it, like you said, how you can claim to be obedient but not do the work.
Yeah.
You can go on Sunday, but you ain't got no time for the sheep or the lost ones on Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah. Are you like? What are you like? How are you operating? How are you moving?
Well, I mean, like God is love, but humans can hate.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's another one. That's another mic.
And it always would occur. I had so many questions when I was growing up and going to church, which I generally enjoy doing. But like I didn't go to a place where like anybody took a critical on anything. So like I'm like, these people been going to the same church service at 11 o'clock on Sunday morning for 70 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I would ask myself like, but why are we going every Sunday if we don't got nothing to learn? Like if like what's the like what I'm saying? It's kind of like comments like somebody tell me something different, but like normally like if you go to first grade, second grade, third grade, after 12, they like, okay, cool, we're gonna give you a diploma. Like they don't get no diplomas at the church. We can't graduate from it. So I gotta go no more. Like. But back then, but now when I started to like have a more like that the whole point was to ask questions, like that was, and it made me sort of go back and go like, oh, we weren't really doing too much.
Absolutely.
And I appreciated it for the ritual, the like the again, like the social responsibility and ways of like understanding deference, like all of these. I mean, there's just so much to appreciate from it. But like, if it was the only thing that I questioned, that were the questions about like my core spiritual identity, then I would not. I mean, I would be the sheep,
No,
because I wasn't being shepherded in that way.
Absolutely, and it's something that people don't really realize, like, right, like in church there's Sunday, but that's praise. Sunday is to praise God. So like the meaning of the Sunday is to, on the seventh day, like to praise God for what's going to happen, and then also to pray for what you are going through or what's to come. Like Bible study, that's the work. Right? Like, so if you devout, now you go on a Bible study, you cracking that Bible open and you trying to get the tools of like, how does this faith stay lit in your life? Or if obviously you don't necessarily have to go to Bible study to do that, but at some point you should be cracking open that toolkit so that way, because it was something that Jason said a little earlier, like, well, that man can't read. Like, he might be a stutterer. You ain't getting the information you need. But you were weird. You knew even at a young age that I could discern this on my own. And that's what God wants. That's what he wants.
Or at least be in conversation with people about it.
Or be in conversation with people. So to also have that faith is to have faith in yourself that you do have a connection. Because your father will not leave you without a connection. Now, if you don't pick up the phone and call him, he may not necessarily be calling you, or you ain't hearing him, but understand that there is a connection there. And it's outside of the Sunday that you go to church where you got to like build that connection.
Well, it's also important, and this comes up a lot when we talk about therapy, and the work. The hour or 90 minutes or 45 minutes that you sit across from your therapist is not the sum total of
the sum total.
And if it is, then you just wasting your money.
You just cracking the egg open. You gotta go home and cook it.
Ain't cooking nothing. Same thing with one spiritual practice too, which is whether it is organized religion and you're going to church and you're Christian, whether it's some other religious tradition, whether it's no religion at all and just spirituality, whatever it is, like, again, if it's the old, like, we show up at 11 on Sunday, we there for 2 hours and then we go back and that's it. Or, whether it's, I burn that sage in the morning, I put it down and like, that's it. Like, if you're not actually putting like work. Self-development, integrating, like, okay, is this a new practice? Does that work? How does that make me feel? Yep. Like, how does that, how am I responding to other people? How is that affecting my interpersonal relationships, etc.? If you're not doing that, then like
it's nothing. You just being obedient to the time you gotta go places.
Right. You just saying first dimensional wellness check, second dimensional wellness check.
Word.
Okay, I got through 8, I'm well. It's not gonna curl all the way over.
100%. That is so well. That's so well said, right?
Yeah.
Like, because then you do that Sunday, you praise him for the fact that you actually either did the work throughout the week or you continue to need to work on the work. And then by Wednesday, you go to your therapist to crack open the stuff that's stopping you from actually being fully vulnerable. But all of that stuff, to your point, Jason, that was said so well. It's like, that's just the start. That's praise God. That's why they get you on hype, right? Like, and you walk out of there emotional, because when you're emotional, you're vulnerable.
You're vulnerable.
And now you gotta tap back into that Bible.
Yeah.
If you ain't thinking about that scripture that next Monday, there's something like something going on, right? And if you're not going to get that mental, emotionally regulated support, and understanding that when that therapist asks you those questions, ain't to fix you right there or fix the issue. It's for you to actually reflect.
Yeah.
And what you doing when you leaving there?
Yeah.
So that was beautifully said, bro.
And I do want to say too, because I think some of this can just be so overwhelming because you're looking. You know, I think these dimensions and stuff give you a good like kind of frame. For me, like I think like that. You know, it's a helpful like source and anchor and stuff like that. But I think sometimes it can maybe be like, oh man, like I need all 8 of these. Like, you know, you can sort of start to see that the problem or the things that the people got all these practices or they're talking about this in this way. And it seems like I'm just like at the beginning of everything. And I do just want to reinforce like, you know, just like start with one because a couple of things. And I was thinking about this Saturday when we were on the summit, like I was like, wow, listen at how all of these are interrelated. And like, taking a walk in the morning hits physical, mental, right? So now you're starting to think about, okay, what are the artifacts in my life I can start to, and it may be that you're actually doing a little bit here, a little bit here, a lot of bit there, but you're just not naming it, right? You're not crediting that like, and putting it on the same level as like showing up to work or, you know, making sure you get the groceries done or making sure you get the laundry done. So sometimes it is these little things to just identify maybe some things you are doing in your life right now. And also just being like, okay, this one, I'm gonna work on this season and see if I can get one good like spiritual practice. End of summer, I'm gonna look back on it and say, oh man, I got that one. And then you're gonna start to see that stuff start to like build on one another.
And y'all love and not to believe, but we keep going back to like the price of wellness. And this is something that I just did the other day. Cause I'm like, man, like I gotta get myself back, you know, and I know that I struggle with it because I'm just in a place that I've never been, right? I'm like real deep in the wilderness from a physical standpoint. So I was like, all right, well, how could I get back? So what am I doing that's not working? Well, you're spending too much time at work, like physically inside of the building. And I was like, well, I love it here too. What could I do? I built a gym. I built a community around the gym, right? Like so it cost me money that I didn't have, but then when I looked at how much I was spending in the areas in my life that are killing me, I'm like, well, damn it, I eat out at a restaurant and drop $200. If I do that 3-4 nights, and that's $1,200. That's almost $2,000. Then why can't I spend $489 to go to a flexologist to help me stretch? You get what I'm saying? So it's just like where are we prioritizing as well when we are out in the world, right? Because if you got a habit, that means that habit costs. And what does that habit cost to you? And can you take even a third of that habit and put it in the area to that one thing that Jason is just talking about? While you're taking a walk, you make sure you go get yourself a gallon of water. Yeah. Really take those things because we're gonna have to pay something for our wellness, just like we pay a price for our disobedience. You're gonna pay.
Either way.
So put the money where you know prosperity is on the other end, and that's key. It's essential.
When you said put the money, I was just thinking about that clip from Don't Be a Menace. And he's like, don't ask no questions.
Don't ask no questions,
sir.
Just put the money in.
Put the money.
Sir, I have a whole, like, I don't know, we're going to get into a season where we do, like, arts and culture commentary, but I have a whole, like, critical commentary on the camp genre and how Black people don't get respect in the camp genre. Anchoring it in Robert Townsend. Because Baps is one of the classic camp movies of all time. It got 0 stars from. I don't know why we're talking about. All right, that's a future episode.
What it sounds like is that you should check out a soon to be a new segment. Because we do have a culture corner on the Be Well Bro podcast. So
we actually do need to watch like Hollywood Shuffle.
Yeah, Hollywood Shuffle.
For real to real,
Yeah.
I just watched Brother from Another Planet.
So, I mean, that's like just like any Robert Townsend movie. You like really.
John
any Robert Townsend movie,
But I'm gonna ask a question to close it out. So we got because we are almost at this point, because we touched on a lot of things, but this last thing you said, Coop, kind of got me to where I wanted to ask. So what does guidance feel like in your life, and how do you know when you're following it? Because we talked about the wilderness. We talked about, like, we had all these analogies for the wilderness and the compass and a lot of different things. So like for the brothers and maybe the sisters watching, please get your cousins, your uncles to please watch this with you or send this to them. But what does guidance feel like in your life, and how do you know when you're following it?
Well, I feel like the guidance is the healthy plan that you put forth, that you want to execute. And then I think you know that you are executing in it when you are able to reflect on your days and check in. So like often I would do like a gratitude jar, right? And it allows me to talk about the things that I'm grateful for, the things that I've done in the day that I'm grateful for before I go to sleep. Whatever plan that I set forth that has all of the dimensions, or at least most of them, that relate to the things that I feel like I need in my life. That's healthy and positive. I get those things done. Like, so for the last 3 weeks, I got a trainer. I haven't missed an appointment. And I've been consistent with it and making sure that I stay steadfast, because I know that there's something that I need to get out of that. So it's just kind of like checking your receipts, in a sense, and the things that you say that you want to bring forth in your life. So if it's, if it's savings, whatever those things may be that we can deem healthy, I think that's how you know you're operating in the guidance, because that is what you're using as your map to get you what you want. Yeah, I think that's, for me, that's what comes up.
What about you, Star? Or you still need some time?
Nah, just when you asked that question, the first thing that came to mind was, and I've said this a couple of times today, and maybe we can like do an episode on there, or have a conversation about it. But the first thing that came to mind was openness, and my therapist, like, we talk about this a lot, and he kind of like, I feels like almost gives me this as a compliment, but I take it, as something that I'm proud about. But like, he's always like, you're a very open person. Like, just like this. And sometimes it's hard for me to understand what he means, because I'm just like, I'm just being me. It's just like new experiences, or you just like approach the world like, I may see something new, like I may experience something new. And for me, it's been helpful because messages, guidance just comes from everywhere. Yeah. It's almost like the world is like, not the world, but like the angels, your angels are like screaming at you at times. But it's just like sort of like, do you have that sense of openness? Like, are your eyes open? Are you looking at the world as a curious person? Plain and simple, it's like, it looks like some mentor person, et cetera, who has tarried the road that you tarry and that you've asked, like, hey, I need your help. I need your support. What do you think about this? I have this decision coming up, so on and so forth. Yeah. Sometimes it's like the culture and media you're consuming. Sometimes like I'll just get into my head, like, listen to this album or something like that. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Or watch this TV program or something like that. So I don't know. I was just thinking about it more so as it's like, it's really everywhere for me. But so my practice is about like being and staying open. And then I know it's, Yeah. I
also like the word curiosity too, like allowing you to kind of like see things and see past what might be in front. Like, you just kind of like,
that book? Did you read that book when y'all was growing up, Curious George? You know the monkey?
Yeah.
I have George. Every Curious George in my book. Absolutely. And sometimes I'll read that children's book because I am that monkey. I am Curious Jason.
Absolutely. And that's a dope spirit. That's a dope spirit to have, right? Like, nothing frightened George. George went everywhere, right? Like,
George wanted to smoke.
All of it.
But I think it's to both the points. The plan and having an honest plan, right? But then being curious, because I think I sit right in that middle part of, if I have my courage, if my courage is activated, then I know I'm moving in a healthy space. Like, I know for me, that's when I'm receiving guidance. If my courage is activated, and I'm like, yo, let's do it.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to make that friend, trying to make that connection. I'm opening myself to be vulnerable to connect. Then I know that I'm moving in that guidance in my life, because I know when I am disconnected, what that means. You know, I'm afraid to be connected. I'm afraid to be curious. I'm afraid to be courageous.
Yeah.
Then that means I'm in an unhealthy place. Because in my best state, in my flow state, I am charismatic and fun, and I want to make every friend that I can. But when I'm not, then I know that I have to recalibrate. Something's going on that's taking me from moving within that guidance of like my spirits or my mentors or whatnot. Another question, because I want to make sure we feed them, because we gave them a lot, but I want to feed our people on some things that I know I'm struggling with. How do you make space for stillness when the pressure to produce is constant?
How do you make space for
And these questions have been asked, so this is some feedback.
No, this is good. I think a lot of us need to tap into this. How do I make space for stillness? Yeah.
Let me get real.
I don't think I'm still.
Yeah. Well, that's fair.
I don't think
right either. No. I mean, so here's, because I think we can ask that question for each one of these dimensions.
Yeah.
And the bigger question is like, how do we make time for ourselves?
Yeah.
And this is one where I have like maybe a little bit less
discipline,
patience. Which is to say, you got $1,000 in your bank account and you need food, lights, heat, et cetera,
yeah.
right? So what do? You sit down with a pen and a paper and you go,
that stuff down.
This. So how do you make time for that? You sit out with them 24 you have every day and you go this. I can't remember who it was. I think it was Barack Obama, but somebody probably said this even before him, right? When we were talking about budgets, right? And then he said, budgets reflect priorities. What you spend your money on is what you prioritize. So as a government or as a society, if we spend our money on this, or you can look at our budget and see what we prioritize and reflect. Your time is your most limited resource, your most valuable resource, because you can't create more of it. So like, you literally got to sit down and go, what am I spending my time on, right? These are 24 I got. What do I prioritize and how I'm fitting it in? That's it. There's no magic. There's nothing to it. And like, honestly, I be doing this on like a week-to-week basis at this point. Because that's just responding to like, that's how it is. But if you don't do it, then you won't do it.
Absolutely.
You won't do it.
I agree with that. I don't the other stuff. Because I mean, what is stillness? What is that? Like, we meditating? Like, I'm human. I'm going to be active. But I need to prioritize whether I'm operating in this chaos or I'm operating in things that I enjoy and fun that's going to give me. That's going to fill me.
I think that's what it really is.
Yeah,
it's like, how do you carve out the space to keep you healthy and fed and well? And some they use stillness. Stillness now is a new buzzword out in the streets. The algorithm, they be throwing me stuff. I'm like, is that the new word we're saying?
Yeah,
like, are you stillness?
My stillness is like Saturdays, knowing that I don't have really nothing to do, watching movies. Like last Saturday, he loved sharks. I showed him the movie Thrasher. Probably shouldn't have showed him that.
I was like, no.
We both in the crib like,
I thought you was gonna say like Baby Shark.
Baby Shark with this guy.
Okay, he's fine.
Emo is
I know. He grown up. But that's our boy bond, right? That's that time that mom may go out and I can kind of like give him candy and he really enjoys that. But that's for me. That's me. Like, yo, I'm not going. The world can't get Barry. This is my time to spend with mine, me and mine, and I appreciate that.
It's escapism, it's, I think sometimes like that has a negative connotation where it's like you're escaping reality, but in many ways, like that form of escapism is that you are escaping into into a reality that like just kind of having to be out and deal with the world doesn't necessarily always allow you to escape into. I know a lot of my friends play video. I've been thinking I'm like trying to get into video games. I think.
I've been offered video game.
We trying, but
because just I have like played some video games with other people, and I'm like I get like
I like that. But
I get the scenario because like it's one of those things where like you are doing something, and like I think that like play and creativity and those kinds of things are also really important.
They are.
We talked about intellectual wellness, but like, you know, it ain't just like puzzles and like these kinds of things, games, playing spades,
we do like
dominoes.
Monopoly, or I play trumpet. August is a drummer.
Yeah.
Oh,
so like we now
doing
jam sessions and stuff like that. But you know, like he like video games now, so I'll be trying. Like he'll go like, I know you want my phone. Matter of fact, here. That's why you keep coming over here. Come get my phone. But he's into it. So
well, I mean, it's like so the reason I was just bringing it up is because I recently played this game because we're talking about, you know, spiritual wellness, and I'm also like pushing this. If you can't tell, like, okay, how we make this practical is like starting to think about things you do that hit a couple of these things. And I just played this video game called Spiritfarer.
What?
So it's a Spiritfarer, like ferrying spirits. So you know, it's like story-based games, right? Like Zelda, like whatever. It's like some of these video games are like
they're real great.
They're like compelling stories. So this game, you basically play this character that's the Spiritfarer, and you meet all these people who die along the way, and your mission is to help ferry their spirits to like their last resting place.
I like that.
So like, but it tells the story of like all of these people. And like through the context of the game. I mean, like, this is how deep the game was. There were moments in time in the game where, like, and you can go on YouTube and, like, watch reaction videos of people getting to the end of the game and just completely, like, melting down in emotion because it's that, like, spiritual. Like, I was like, what? I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, because I mean, you want to, that's so dope because we don't see our spiritual, like, we don't see our spirit. So, like, you're playing a game that is allowing you to process spiritual ending.
It's almost like
I give you a chill.
The same way you feel like reading a Bible. It's it's this thing that sort of the whole sort of the story wraps up into a way that makes so much sense in your soul.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same way I felt when I watched the end of Steven Universe.
Don't even do all right.
Right.
Because I love Steven Universe.
So look, it's spirituality everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's just to say that there's it's just an encouragement. I think today's conversation was like extremely lively because it is this like core piece of, we don't have no answers here, right?
Yeah,
and we all just kind of like on our own journey and picking things up, but living a spiritually fulfilled and enriched life is so satisfying. It makes your walk so nice. So I hope that people saw that in the conversone today.
Yeah,
because you can just talk about this,
taking the perspectives, right? Because there's no one antidote. There's no one antidote. Like, you have to fit what works for you because we all are creatives and we all have different talents. Like, you say you like this, like I'm a musician, so like utilizing these gifts that we have is a way to operate in your connectivity to your faith as well, right? Like, because now you're trusting on skills that you have, not skills that the world is trying to provide you. Don't. This ain't about trying to give you some information or have you walk on this. What perspective did you resonate with? So that way you can kind of like try that on your own.
And you have to.
And, you know, and I was just thinking about something where it's just, if you take nothing else away from this, I would want folks to take that. I just think it's so easy to walk around and feel like the world is operating against you, right? And like having good spiritual practice, having strong spiritual wellness, to me, it's like you can walk around the world and know that there's a lot of aspects of the world that may be operating against you or working against your favor, but that there is something bigger than the world that you are always connected to, and that none of those things can separate you from.
Yeah. You gotta be a soldier. So like, a little resistance strengthens you. Like shit ain't coming. Like not to go biblical, but like if you think about the story of when God met Peter, right? Like he took him out in the boat, he cast it out, and he said throw the net, and they couldn't even pull it in. But like there was a resistance, but the resistance was rooted in abundance. So sometimes you got to be connected to your abundance as well, because that pulling might be your gold mine, right? Like,
Ooh.
so how much
Bishop been at this church every Sunday. What church you go to? What church you go to?
Like, but to your point, like, don't be afraid of the resistance. And sometimes it's tough.
Yeah.
And sometimes it don't feel
it's going
good.
To be, yeah.
You know, and again, it's something that my trainer told me the other day. And it was like straight up. She was like, yo, I was like, yo, my knee hurt. And she was like, yo, it can either hurt with you not doing nothing, or you can feel the pain of working out. And what is that pain gonna bring you? And that shit was like, that was the light bulb that I was like, you know what? Because what I'm feeling, I don't like. So I might as well just go through it until I don't feel it no more. And guess what? Every week I feel it less. So it's like, what is this resistance? Because the world is resistant, man. Like the world ain't built for us.
Well, how would you know you're making progress?
How would you know?
I mean, without how would you know that you're making progress?
Right? Yeah, absolutely. So
how would you feel accomplished? Those are things that are just really important to the human psyche.
100%. When we go to the easy route, that's when.
And I think you know you're making progress. And I'll just say this to piggyback on both things, because I'm not a gamer. I want to be, but patience just is not one of my best virtues. I will throw a controller. I am not. Yeah, Sixx is not the one. I will break that $60 controller.
We gotta do an episode in the mind of Sixx.
But I do create. I'm an artist, so like and I just recently I got my courage to show some stuff that I didn't really like once upon a time, and I was like, let me just throw it into this art show, and to watch community resonate with it was fulfilling for me.
Yeah,
of something that I thought wasn't good, and then people just being like asking a lot of questions about it, and I was like, damn,
yeah, man.
And so to that point, when you are moving in a space to like try the new thing, do you play your game, listen to your music, but do the things that make you actually feel good, and it might be a little scary. You never know what you get from it.
Yeah, man.
You never know what you get from it. So while closing out, I want to ask one word. I'm going to ask you 3 more questions, 1 word each. What do you think your current spiritual state is right now? In one word.
1 word? Like, or where? Like, name my... Yeah. My current spiritual state is consistent.
Everlasting.
And mine's is focused. Mine's is focused. And I ask you to, everybody's listening and watching, to find out where your spiritual state is. And like we always say, thank you, but for today forward, be well.
Be well.
Make sure you subscribe too.
Peace.
Now, wherever
subscribe.
Put the subscription buttons.
It should be all at the bottom. Peace.
Peace.
Bye, y'all. Be well.